Hello, everybody. This is the Aquarian Medium. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today is November 23rd, 2021. And I just want to take a quick moment to show you a message in which I received from the sleeping prophet, Edgar Cayce. Edgar Cayce was born on March 18th, 1877, and he was a clairvoyant. He was able to go to sleep, medically diagnosing his patients, even though he was not a physician per se. He was a physician of God. He grew up in Kentucky, was able to see auras and view the Akashic records, and believed that the origin of the human races were all different. However, like an atom bomb, there was an explosion at the same time of different races on the earth. Saturday afternoon, I was showing a friend how when we are speaking, the chatter picks up with the current transits as they are based off of the observer. Only this time it picked up someone else's chatter, and I really didn't realize who it was until a couple of days ago. So I wanted to share this reading. At the time I pulled the chart, the transits up, the dark moon and the moon were conjunct in the second house of values that was ruled by Gemini. So these values are conflicting energy. And the third house of communication is weighted and devouring with this 309. And this 309 just kept popping up, and I wasn't real sure who it went to. So I pulled up Edgar Cayce because Cayce and I have some connections that we make from this 12th house of Cayce's, and I have a doorway that goes to Edgar Cayce and the United States. So I was able to find the 309, and it was the physician about the sun, about children, about creativity, the Son of God. And I told Cayce to guide me. And because we have a solar eclipse coming up, I wondered if it has to do with the solar eclipse. I noticed the joy. The joy is at 2738 with partnerships with Scorpio energy, where Mars is leading. And the Mars was touching me at the time. So was Vulcan with the 2117. And as you can see, the 2118 is also found in the chart. So I'm connecting with my Astrea, the divine goddess, who I have in Pisces in the 11th house of Aquarius. So I'm feeling connections, and I noticed that Cayce's Uranus in the 12th house is 2115, where there is a shakeup with children, a shakeup with the sun and the Son of God, with this creativity that he worked with. The next step I made was I pull up the solar eclipse chart, and I see that it rises, and the joy is found with Edgar Cayce's lunar nodes. His first house is the South Node in Virgo, ruled by Leo. And then his North Node is in Pisces in the 7th house, ruled by Aquarius. So his partnerships were original, innovative, with the Spirit of Truth, who rules the Aquarian home, the Holy Spirit. It is this house of health, as well as the mystical house, that I connect with Edgar Cayce. And so I begin to understand a little bit more about the chart, what he is trying to convey to me about health of the government, about the path that we are on currently. But then I see that the sun and the moon are at 1221, which is the second house of values, about health and balancing health in general, is where he found his joy. So when I noticed that the sun and the moon were at 1221, I realized that I have the wrong chart pulled up. It's the wrong chart. This should be 1222 and not 1221. This is where the United States rises with their chart. Their natal chart rises with 1221 in Sagittarius. So they rise with this quick movement of Sagittarius. That 1222 that I'm looking for is Cayce's moon. It's the moon in Taurus in the ninth house. This is where his action was because it's ruled by Aries. This is where this long travel was. It was a wound that he dissolved with God, and the pleasures, the material renunciation with the moon, with Vulcanus, and with Selene, who was teaching him to be a transformative leader. So then I pull the correct chart of the solar eclipse. And here is the 1222 moon and sun. Now it's correct. Now I can feel good about looking at this chart and looking at his and combining the first contact and this one. And I start to realize that the message is about the sun. It's about the solar eclipse, which is about the sun. And I begin to work on past solar flares, past events that have been recorded with a time. And so the strongest impact with the Carrington event happened at 3 a.m. September 2nd, 1859. And when I pull the chart, I realize that the joy in the 11th house at 6:57 in Gemini is 9:53. So this is definitely a message about a solar flare, an incoming solar flare. And as you can see, Hygeia is conjunct the magnetic field with Zeus with our health. So I'm feeling a magnetic field. I'm feeling the sun disrupting the communications. I continue to see a 1513, a 1516, and there is a 1516 with Ceres with this strong event. And so I start taking note of the different energies that connect to Cayce with this event. And I realize that that joy upon the first contact with Edgar Cayce was 2738. And that is the burden, this admitos. This is the burden in the future because it's in Aquarius. Admitos brings a burden to the consciousness. So in the future, there's a wound that comes with partnerships to bring balance to partnerships and relationships. That's a burden at 2738, which is where this joy is, right next to the sun. This is what it's like when I receive messages through the frequencies that are found in the transiting degrees. But the health of the government and the way that they balance was much different than the way that Cayce balances. But because he has these connections to the United States with God in the 8th house of Scorpio, where his Pisces sun ruled, he was able to uncover what was hidden and shine there. Fourth house of home was ruled by Scorpio. And this 1714 does go to the leaders who like to study him, the Central Intelligence Agency. And it goes into his fifth house of creativity, which is ruled by Sagittarius at 2323. And then all of his attributes, all of these archetypes are in Capricorn, are in the government. He would have had legal problems with the father, would have brought him intense experiences. It would have taught him about his ego and shook him up. But this also rules not just the father, but the government as well. Libra is more of a balance and a justice with relationships and with governing bodies and with the law. Everything for Cayce is about health. And as he rises with Leo, Leo is also literally ruled by the sun. This is not to scare my viewers. It's just to make you guys aware that we do have a weakening magnetic field. And when the sun unleashes massive solar flares and we get a CME, they disrupt our communications. Cosmic radiation, cosmic rays in full force in our atmosphere down to the soil. When we have a weakened magnetic field, it does not protect us. The bubble is no longer there, fully protecting us. So keep this in mind, because this message, although we can pray, we can come together in agreement. Some things are just inevitable because that is what it's going to take to raise the consciousness on Earth. The distractions are immense. The confusion from the media is immense. We have our eyes focused on the wrong thing. We have prayer and trust in the divine guidance to lead us to the promised land, which is a state of mind. It's a state of being that we can literally connect to. Now, the last little tidbit information that I wanted to convey to you guys is that the 2738, upon first contact with Cayce, that goes to the Carrington Event, is also found with Wolfgang Gleissberg from Germany. He was an astronomer. He studied astrology as well. And he analyzed the sunspot activity and discovered a life-threatening sun cycle, severe radiation from a mass eruption from the sun would devastate the power supplies, anything solar generating, satellites. And as the Earth crust weakens and volcanoes explode, there is massive Earth changes that are coming, is what this message conveys. I see that this 1517 and I see that 2738 is here, found within his chart, as the moon is reflecting the values of Edgar Cayce and Gleissberg, who noticed the sun cycles with the sunspots. You know, when they were talking about the global warming because of the sun's inactivity, it's just like your body. When it gets warm and it cools and it warms and it cools, we have vents, we have ventilation that allows the planet to breathe and to cool off, and that is volcanoes. So I do suspect that we are going to begin to see spacecraft space junk, asteroids, solar flares, Earth changes are going to start picking up. Just know that I will be working to uncover what is hidden and be shown and guided. I know for sure that that Hygeia is in Libra currently and will be still in Libra when the solar eclipse takes place. And it will hit Edgar Cayce and the United States ascendant. It will hit the life path. And so this day is actually looking like a pretty evident day for Edgar Cayce, his predictions, his reflection, his receptivity. So be watching for the solar eclipse video. Until next time, we'll see you guys. Peace.